morning, and welcome to the virtual Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lake Norman. Our fellowship walks diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but are united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and the obligation to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Lori Walker, and I am a charter member of this congregation. Let's light our chalice to begin our time together. And our chalice lighting words are, "Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life." Our speaker this morning is Reverend Amy Brooks, UU minister and our former pastor. She currently serves as community organizer for GreenFaith, a global multi-faith climate and environmental justice organization. Before we hear from Amy Brooks, we have a special message from Pam Jones. It's a short message, but very important, as Unity and Community is working to remove the Confederate monument on the grounds of Mount Zion United Methodist Church in Cornelius. Reverend Brooks will bring the morning message after this brief update from Pam Jones.
Good morning. I'd first like to thank Pastor Joe for inviting me here today to talk with you about Unity and Community's efforts to take down the Confederate monument in Cornelius. From what I know about Unitarian Universalist, and especially about your fellowship in Lake Norman, I know I'm in good company here today. I'm happy to be among my people. And by my people, I'm talking about justice-loving and justice-seeking people. And I look forward to continuing to work with you all for racial equity and justice. I first want to thank you for your support thus far in our campaign to take down the Confederate monument. You were there at our first rally in July of 2020. Reverend Pat was one of the signers of the community letter that was published in Cornelius Today that we sent to the Mount Zion Monumental Association. And you were there in force at our last rally on the anniversary of the monument's dedication in 1910. I don't think I have to tell you all why UIC has taken on this struggle. I know that you know why the monument was erected. I know that you know what it really represents. And I don't think I need to convince you why the monument needs to come down. So I'm going to skip all of that because Pastor Job asked me here today to talk about where things stand and what our plans are for moving forward in getting the monument taken down. One thing that many people are not aware of is that the Cornelius Monument itself is privately owned and sits on private land, and it's not the church's land. The vast majority of the monuments across the South are on public property, which has made it a little easier to get them down because they can talk about taxpayers and public interest and all of that. But in our case, we must prevail upon the Monumental Association to take it down. Our strategy has been to build enough public pressure to force the association to take it down, if only to protect it from being vandalized or destroyed. Our goal is to take the monument down and place it in a location like a museum or a cemetery where people who want to see it can choose to see it. Those of us who do not want to see it wouldn't be forced to see it. We're trying to do that, take the monument down and get the monument taken down in several ways through education, through action, and through media, both social and print and digital and all that media stuff. And of course, one of the things that we know we must do is collaborate with others, such as churches, community groups, businesses, individuals. That's critical to our efforts. UIC understands that we can't do this alone. We're still early in our campaign, which is being led by UIC's Social Justice Committee. We know we're in for a long struggle, and we'll definitely keep you informed of our efforts. But right now, how can you support the campaign? Do what you've been doing, please. Continue to come out to our rallies and events. Our next event will be on September 29th. It's called Shaping Education, Decisions and Impact. And that's a two-part series that will inform people about what's actually taught in Charlotte-Mecklenburg School social studies classes and who makes those decisions. One of the reasons we believe that we have a monument in Cornelius is because few of us were taught the real truth about the Civil War and about much of US history. Also, UIC supporters and friends will be attending the upcoming candidate forums and asking candidates in all three towns to state their position on the monument. We'll be holding a number of other educational events, as well as organizing a letter writing campaign, encouraging people to write letters to the editor, and of course, more rallies. So stay tuned. In closing, let me just say that UIC and I personally appreciate the support that you all have given from the very beginning. As I said earlier, we know we're in for a long struggle, but we do believe, as Martin Luther King Jr. and many others have said, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Thank you.
The title of our reflection today is Listening to the Earth. On this day, honoring St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of ecology and animals, let us take time to listen to the earth and what messages are there for us today. We begin with the Jewish prayer of praise for God's creation. Oh, how wonderful, O Lord, are the works of your hands. The heavens declare your glory. The arch of sky displays your handiwork. In your love, you have given us the power to behold the beauty of your world, robed in all its splendor. The sun and the stars, the valleys and hills, the rivers and lakes all disclose your presence. The roaring breakers of the sea tell us of your awesome might. The beasts of the field and the birds of the air bespeak your wondrous self. In your goodness, you have made us able to hear the music of the world. The voices of loved ones reveal to us that you are in our midst. A divine voice sings through all creation. Mike Alec will now offer our centering music.
Good morning, friends. It's good to be with you today. Our reading for today is entitled Let Me Walk in Beauty by Chief Yellow Lark. O great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I am small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty, and let my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made, and my ears grow sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise, so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. I seek strength not to be greater than my brother and sister, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so that when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. I have been so taken with this reading lately. I find the language evocative and the sentiments resonant with what has been happening today when it comes to our planetary situation. Indeed, we are in need of great strength to face ourselves, our own worst enemy. We are in need of a respectful relationship with this wondrous earth that gives us everything we require to live and to live well. We are in need of wisdom to face the challenges before us and wrestle with the paradox of our own making. An energy system that has brought many opportunities, but in the final assessment is leading to our own destruction. How do we do this? Brian Stevens, in his book A Just Mercy, writes that if you want to understand something, you have to get proximate. That's in quotes, get proximate. In other words, you have to get close to the situation, the people, and the lives you are trying to understand. Brian Stevens visited dozens, maybe hundreds of people in jail and learned how people were framed for things they never did, how they were convicted because they didn't have the right resources to properly defend themselves. It's hard to fathom how much corruption, ignorance, and fear have ruined the lives of so many people in our judicial system. And we might never have known if Stevens hadn't gotten proximate and written that book. Getting proximate changed the lives of the people Stevens defended, but it also changed his life. Some of our most memorable UU leaders distinguished themselves by getting proximate to nature. Emerson and Thoreau spent a lot of time in nature and wrote rhapsodic descriptions about the earth and our human connection to nature. Their writings and the writings of the romantics that influenced them shaped future generations to appreciate the beauty we find in nature. Emerson met John Muir, from whom the Sierra Club took its inspiration, and Muir influenced President Theodore Roosevelt to create the National Park System to protect beautiful places from development. This is part of our legacy. Nature is a place to be protected and enjoyed. I know many of us value opportunities to be in nature. We take trips to appreciate natural wonders. Mountaintop and lakeside homes are highly desirable. And in UU congregations, we put a priority on worship spaces that are connected to nature, whether it's with clear paned windows in order to see the sky, or tucked off the beaten path surrounded by trees. We carry this passion into our social action work. UUs are often at the forefront of efforts to protect animals and the planet. Talk to any interfaith climate agency and we will tell you, the Unitarian Universalists always show up. Given this list, this legacy, one might think we humans are deeply connected to the natural world. But if that is so, how is it possible that we are living on a planet so threatened by our actions, specifically the burning of fossil fuels? This summer, I had the opportunity to join the Treaty People Gathering in northern Minnesota, where Native people are fighting for their sovereign treaty rights to hunt, fish, and harvest the native wild rice that is central to their culture. Enbridge, a tar sands oil company, has received permission from our government to build a new pipeline, Line 3, through this land, destroying habitats, endangering the headwaters of the Mississippi, and threatening, yet again, the lifeways of Indigenous people. Spending even a few days in the presence of First Nations people was a profound experience. We had multiple sessions where Native people stood up and told us their stories. Each time I was moved by the deep level of integration between people and the earth. Every tree, every animal, the land, the water, the air is endowed with living spirit. Sit, listen, feel the connection, deepen the relationship, look with new eyes on that tree. It is our grandparent. Or that lake, animal or flower. They are our siblings. The teachers spoke slowly, quietly, giving us time to listen, feel, absorb. On one level, what they taught was familiar. I already knew what they were telling me in my head. But to hear them talk about it, about the place of honor that wild rice holds in their culture, their rituals, and their daily lives, was deeply moving to my heart. One teacher in particular resonated with me. It was great-grandmother Mary Lyons, Ojibwe elder and water protector. She reminded us as white people that we had come here from another place, a place that had land and customs and rituals, and that in coming here, we had lost some things. She said it this way: when you come forth, please don't say, "I'm just a white person." Sing your ancestors' songs. Say, "My grandparents were from." And that rhythm goes from there. You never say, "I am." You say, "My grandparents are from." They lived here. Because the crazy thing is, and people don't realize it, what happened to us Indigenous people on these lands also happened to your family. Otherwise, you'd be home. End quote. Otherwise, we'd be home. You could hear the sigh of understanding in the crowd. She invited us to think about what we have lost and how that experience of loss might help us to have compassion for Native people and the situation they face. And then she did another amazing thing, because she ended on this note. She said, "The history books leave something out. This story is not in those books. We aren't fighting to get into your history. Instead, you are coming into our story, this history." She invited us into their story. To see ourselves stepping into this much older story is a fundamental shift in our thinking. In this story, we are no longer the protagonists, the great white hope, people creating a city on a hill or a new world from sea to shining sea. What can we learn by getting proximate to a culture and a people that have lived here for more than 10,000 years? Perhaps we can learn how to listen to the earth, to hear that nature is not simply a thing, a place to be either exploited or protected, but alive with beings to be lived among, honored, and respected. She gave us the common experience of loss and the decentering of the story of white people civilizing the world. I would have not understood these in the way that I do now if I had not gotten proximate, to hear her words, to listen with sharp ears to a story about a way of being in the world that I was not taught. This morning, I invite us to get proximate to the earth, to listen to what she might be saying to us. How do we do this? It could mean sitting quietly each morning on our porch or deck to listen to the birds sing. Maybe if we are lucky enough, we get to sit next to a brook or an ocean and appreciate the sound of the water. It might mean taking a walk in the woods or taking time to plant something in the garden. These are all delightful images, often accompanied by pleasurable sounds. Our listening in places like this is designed to soothe and rejuvenate, to bring peace and a sense of connection, much needed connection. And wouldn't it be grand if this is what all our days were like? Humans living in relationship and harmony with the earth, appreciating and giving thanks for its gifts. Now, I believe that our days could be more like this, but in order to create it, we must also listen to the earth, not just on our good days, when the sun is shining and the lake is rippling and the fish are jumping, but on her not so good days, when the trees crash, the land cracks, and the water chokes on plastic. These sounds are hard to listen to, and it may be why we have created oases of protected beauty, so that we can retreat from the harm and hurt that is happening around us. I suggest that as Brian Stevens so humbly and elegantly taught us, if we get proximate to the suffering around us, it will teach us, it will guide us, and it will change us. I suggest that if we get proximate, we will learn to face the truth about what is feeding this destruction, and we will find the compassion, the empathy, and the courage to set a different course. I suggest that if we are honest with ourselves, we will find the strength to change how we live in our daily lives. that is more in keeping with our stated values of respect for the interdependent web of all creation. Chief Yellowlark's words invite us to listen to the earth, to the voice of the Great Spirit sighing in the trees, to learn the lessons of the earth in every leaf and rock, so that we may walk in beauty. Imagine how good it would feel to walk in beauty each day, carrying with us a sense of our connection to all beings. If we truly felt that way, would it not become impossible to treat the earth the way that we do? Maybe we have lost our way, but that does not mean we cannot find our way back. I close with 2 invitations for finding that way back. The first is to join GreenFaith in Uptown Charlotte on October 18th at the Government Center at noon for a socially distant and masked global day of action. On this day, people of faith from around the world are lifting their voices before the Climate of Parties, COP26, to remind our leaders of this shared spiritual truth. Destroying the planet is against our religions. We must connect the dots. The extraction and use of fossil fuels is causing harm, and as people of faith, we must acknowledge this hard truth and speak this truth to organized power in finance, government, and business. To do otherwise means we are not accountable to each other or the many other beings on this blue dot we inhabit. This is not what our tradition teaches us, and if we think otherwise, then we have gotten confused. The second is to get proximate and listen to the earth. Really listen. Let's sharpen our ears, not only when we are sitting in our backyard oasis, but with each step we take and each action we make. Let us imagine the earth's delight when we buy food from our local farmers. Let's appreciate that we are building connections with our ecosystem, our local economy, and our local people. Let us imagine how we all might breathe easier, people, animals, plants, when we take the extra time to walk or bike instead of drive. And while we are walking or biking, let's remember to pause and feel the sun on our face and listen to the trees. Let us take time to measure the impact of our decisions to buy this thing. Do we really need it? Or to take that trip? How important is it in the scheme of things? Now, in some cases, we may decide to move forward with our plan, but at least we have been honest with ourselves about what that decision means. And in some cases, we might make a different decision. Finally, let us deepen our appreciation for the intangible things that can't be purchased, like the beauty of the red and purple sunset, the gift of relationship to the neighbor right next door, to the history and the gifts of this place we now call home, and the opportunity to grow our spirit and to walk in beauty every day. May it be so. Blessed be.
beautiful earth-filled day under the earth and stone. Where'll we be tomorrow after the great bird's flown, spreading their wings in sorrow? But still there's one light shining, the one that's only mine, under the earth and stone. So many years ago, why don't we leave it alone? And now that we know what we know, it's still that one light shines, the one that's always mine, more than you'll ever know, more than you'll know. Don't look back, it's a one-way journey. Roads are covered with signs. Fill your bags, hey, we'll load our saddles. Early morning, we'll take that ride over the earth and stone. So many miles to go, raising a flag of our own. And now that we know what we know, I feel that one light shine, the one that's yours and mine, more than you'll ever know, more than you'll know. Take care.
Thank you, Reverend Amy, for your guidance, your experience, and your essential message this morning. And now for a few announcements. This is a message from the nominating committee. Elections for 2022 officers will be on November the 10th. The positions available are Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary, and Trustee. Please consider volunteering to serve on our board. You can also nominate a member who is willing to serve in one of these positions. Let Agnes Fiore, Linda Heidenberg, or Kim Worthington know if you or another member wishes to be nominated. Feed and See, our next day to slice, dice, cook, and serve is Thursday, October the 14th. There's still a couple slots available. Let Jim Arnold know if you want to sign up for the 9 a.m. to 1:30 shift. For those who plan ahead, our November date is Thursday, November the 11th. Movie Tuesdays are back. So if you want to go to a movie on Tuesday in the afternoon at Birkdale or Our Town Cinema, contact Linda Heidenberg. And so after the movie, people get together and socialize, go to a local restaurant, have a snack, and it's a fun time. If you're a visitor, we welcome you. Thank you for trying out our virtual Sunday service. If you like what you've heard so far and wondering how to stay connected or get involved with our congregation, please reach out to our membership chair, Linda Heidenberg. Her email address can be found at the bottom of our screen. We encourage members to keep reaching out to one another during this time, whenever possible. So make regular Skype or Zoom meetings with one another. It's important that we stay connected and make that extra effort to sustain the deep bonds of our community. So now let us all go forth and conquer the day. Go now in peace and love. Namaste.